Okay, let's unpack this. I want you to take a second and just look around the room you're in right now.
Mm.
Or if you're commuting, look at the road, the cars, the sky. Does it feel mechanical to you? Like, is the universe just a cold, hard machine? Or is it watching you?
That is quite the opening question to drop on our listeners.
Right.
You're basically asking if reality is a dead stage where we just act out our lives, or if it's a living audience that, boos and cheers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because the source material we are diving into today suggests that not only is the universe alive, but it's reacting to every single thought you have.
It's a bit of a mind bender.
It is. We are looking at a text called Zhufeng Preaching, specifically chapters 35 through 42 and then chapter 50. It's a series of writings that lays out this whole metaphysical framework for something called the Tao.
Right. And for those familiar with Eastern philosophy, Tao or Tao usually translates to the way.
The natural flow of things.
Exactly. But in these specific texts, the definition is much more specific and, frankly, highly technical. He defines the Tao as God's consciousness, the blood of the universe.
The motive force behind all movement.
Yes. It's described as the synthesis of all laws.
So we aren't talking about just going with the flow and chilling out by a river.
No, not at all. This reads more like the operating system of reality.
Like the source code.
That is a perfect analogy. In fact, later in the text, that is exactly where we end up. Our mission today is to break down what he calls the 8 characteristics of Tao.
And we're going to look at them through this lens of the program, because chapter 50 reframes all this ancient spirituality into something that sounds a lot like computer code.
Spiritual hacking, basically.
I love that. But I have to warn you, some of this is comforting and some of it is actually kind of terrifying. So let's jump in. The first characteristic is something called Hundam.
Or chaotic nature.
Right. Now, when I hear chaos, I think of my desk on a Monday morning. Just a mess. But the text says that's not what this means. Right.
Correct. It makes a very sharp distinction between disorder, which is your desk, and this specific type of chaos. In this context, Hundam means infinite connection.
The idea that the universe is holographic.
Exactly. Every single point is connected to every other point.
This is where we usually hear about the butterfly effect. You know, a butterfly flaps its wings in
Usually
Brazil.
Buzz is a tornado in Texas.
Yeah, it's a cliche at this point.
It is, but the text takes it so much further. It gives examples that sound, well, almost absurd at first.
They do. It says the movement of an ant is directly related to an elephant drinking water halfway across the world.
Okay, hold on. I have to push back on that. That feels like a stretch.
I get it.
You're saying if I stub my toe right now, it's because a star exploded a million years ago? Or because an elephant sneezed in Africa? It just feels like we're seeing patterns where there aren't any. I get that reaction. It does sound impossible. But the argument here is about the density of the network. Think of it like a back-end server processing trillions of operations per second.
Okay.
The text says, a cough you have today might be linked to an insect you ate 10 years ago.
Accidentally, I hope.
One would hope. Or that your grandchild's suffering could be linked to an ancestor digging up a mountain 3,000 years ago.
So it's a web.
A massive invisible web. The text calls this an invisible Skynet. The idea is that nothing escapes it.
Every thought, every action.
Every blink, it's all imprinted into the universe's database.
That's the scary part I mentioned. So when we have those days where everything goes wrong, you spill your coffee, miss
Right.
the bus, lose your wallet, and we say, wow, just bad luck.
Or a weird coincidence?
The source is arguing there is no such thing as a coincidence.
Precisely. It argues that what we perceive as random luck or chaos is actually just a delayed reaction within this massive web. The connections are so complex we can't see the string.
So we call it chaos.
But if you could see the code, you'd see it as hyperordered.
Which, if we stick with the software analogy, brings us to the underlying syntax. Because if everything was just chaotic connections, nothing would work. We need rules.
And that's the second characteristic, enduring reliability.
This is the stability.
Right. The text says that within that chaotic web, specific laws never change. This is the science part of the Tao.
Like the internal angles of a triangle always equal 180 degrees.
Yep. Or eggs always take 21 days to hatch.
And if you plant potatoes, you get potatoes.
You will never, ever plant a potato and get a sweet potato.
I mean, sure, that's basic biology. Why is that a spiritual characteristic?
Because of the implication of trust. The text uses a great kitchen analogy here. If you put fermented dough in a steamer for 15 minutes, it becomes a steamed bun.
Just 15 minutes.
That's the rule. It's a guarantee. If you follow the procedure, the result is mathematically certain.
So the takeaway is that if you follow a spiritual formula, like striving for what the text calls the millennium world, the result isn't a gamble.
It's not a maybe God will hear me situation.
It's a law.
If you write the correct code, the program runs. If you steam the dough, you get the bun.
So we have a system that is infinitely complex, but runs on strict logic. Okay, now here is where it gets really interesting for me. The third characteristic is instantaneous induction.
The mirror effect. The text claims the Tao reacts instantly to your state of being. It says, if you have 10,000 thoughts, the Tao has 10,000 responses.
Like a smart home that knows what you want before you ask, but on a cosmic scale.
And it explains the phenomenon of the last straw. You know, the saying about the straw that broke the camel's back?
Sure.
The text argues that the final collapse, a car accident, a health crisis, even a stroke of massive good luck isn't random.
It's an accumulation.
It's the system recording every single gram leading up to it. The crash wasn't an accident, it was a system overload.
Which connects to the characteristic of spirituality. The idea that the Tao has feelings. It's not a cold mirror.
It's an emotional one, yes. The text says if you are angry, the Tao manifests things to make you angry. If you smile at the mirror of the universe, the reflection smiles back.
Okay, I have to stop you again. This sounds nice on a greeting card. Smile at the world and it smiles back.
I know.
But the source brings up those experiments on water crystals as proof. You know the ones? Where Japanese researchers expose water to different words.
Yes, the Masaru Emoto experiment.
Right. I have to be the skeptic here. That has been widely criticized as pseudoscience. Is the text really basing its metaphysics on that?
It's using it as a tangible example of a principle. The text cites it to demonstrate that consciousness affects structure.
Okay.
The argument is beautiful consciousness created beautiful geometric water crystals, while angry consciousness created ugly, unstructured ones.
So whether you accept the science of that experiment or not.
The point is that the Tao is the blood of the universe. So if your thoughts are pollution, you are physically polluting the reality around you.
So thoughts aren't just in our head, they have mass.
In a way, yes. This leads to the paradox. The Tao is ethereal, yet real. Invisible, but it can punch you in the face.
Metaphorically or literally.
Exactly. The text uses the example of the Liang Shanbo and Zuying Tai violin concerto.
Which I had to look up. It's a beautiful piece of music.
It is, and the logic the text uses is fascinating. The melody started as a thought. Invisible, ethereal, no weight, no mass.
Right.
But then you hook that melody up to a fountain display, suddenly that invisible thought is physically moving tons of water, shooting it into the air.
That's a cool image.
It bridges the gap. It shows how code, the thought, becomes execution, the moving water.
So we are walking around inside a giant, sensitive, emotional mirror that turns our thoughts into physical events. That is a lot of pressure.
It is. If I have a bad day, am I breaking the universe?
You're certainly rippling it. But if you think that's wild, wait until we get to how this system handles time and space.
Ah, yes. The breaking the laws of physics section. The text lists trans-space-time as a key characteristic.
The ink analogy.
Exactly. You drop ink into water, and eventually you can't distinguish the ink from the water. It's everywhere. The Tao is the ink. There's no inside or outside.
And this applies to time, too. Past, present, and future are a single thing.
And it gives some pretty spooky literary examples to prove it.
These were fascinating. The text cites Morgan Robertson's novella Futility, written in 1898.
14 years before the Titanic sank.
Okay, let's dwell on this because the details are actually insane.
Yeah.
So 14 years prior,
Correct.
he writes about a ship called the Titan,
The Titan.
described it as unsinkable. It hit an iceberg in the North Atlantic in April.
And it didn't have enough lifeboats. The speed, the tonnage, the data was shockingly close to the real Titanic disaster.
And then there's Jules Verne.
From the Earth to the Moon, 1865, he predicted a capsule launched from Florida,
Which is where Cape Canaveral is now.
with 3 astronauts splashing down in the Pacific. The data he used was strangely accurate to the Apollo 11 mission, over 100 years later.
So a skeptic would say coincidence. Just a lucky guess.
But the source argues these weren't guesses. It argues these authors accessed the unified time of the Tao.
They downloaded the future.
Essentially, since the future and past are one, like files on a hard drive, the information was already there. They just happened to click open on the wrong file.
That completely changes how you look at sci-fi. Maybe they aren't inventing, they're remembering. Okay, one more physics breaker. Non-stagnation, or the speed of zero.
Right. Light travels at 300,000 kilometers per second. The Tao operates at zero time, instantaneous.
The text has a thought experiment about an iron room.
Yes. A person locked in a room with 10-meter thick iron walls, totally sealed off.
No radio waves get out.
Nothing. But the text argues physical barriers are irrelevant. You can still project consciousness out and the universe can still reach you.
It's not a signal.
Doesn't travel through the wall. It exists simultaneously on both sides of it, like quantum entanglement.
So no hiding from the cosmic mirror. Now, we have to touch on what I think is the most controversial part of this text.
Oh, yeah.
The characteristic of fairness.
This is where the rubber meets the road. And honestly, it's a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah, because I look at the world and I see accidents, innocent people getting sick, inequality.
Right.
It does not look fair. But the text claims the Tao is absolutely ruthlessly fair.
It does, but it redefines the timeline. The view here is that you can't judge fairness based on one lifetime. You have to view it over the long river of history.
Past lives, debts,
That's the idea. And it gets pretty dark, too. It talks about the equality of death.
the grim equalizer.
It is. The text says death comes for the rich, the poor, the great, the small. Everyone gets sunshine. Everyone's hand burns in a fire.
But then there's the diamond necklace logic. And I found this really striking, but also, I don't know, almost victim blaming.
It is a zero-sum argument. The text says, okay, you see someone with a diamond necklace and think, that's unfair.
I want that.
But true fairness means if you want their wealth, you must also be willing to take their suffering, their diseases, their hidden miseries.
You can't cherry pick the good parts of someone else's life.
Exactly. The text states the universe's positive and negative energy sum is zero. Balance is inevitable.
But wait, does that mean if I'm happy now, I have to be miserable later? That sounds depressing.
Not necessarily, but it means you can't have the output without the input. If you take more than you give, the Tao will balance the books. Eventually.
It's an algorithm.
A ruthless kind of accounting.
It is. But that brings us to the final piece of the puzzle. We've talked about the Tao as a mirror, a web, an accountant.
But in Chapter 50, the text shifts gears and uses the metaphor we teased at the beginning, the program.
This is where it gets modernized.
Yes, Xifeng says, fish and water, human and Tao, but then says, let's simplify it, human and program.
So we literally are living in a simulation.
Effectively. He claims everything is a script. The 4 seasons, that's a program loop.
Puberty, menopause.
Biological subroutines, even nations and families are described as programs you enter into.
And this raises the big question, do we have free will? Or are we just NPCs running a script?
The text is nuanced here. It says, without an external force, a program runs on a loop.
Reincarnation. Repetitive destiny.
You keep making the same mistakes, living the same patterns. The code just executes go-to start.
So how do you break the loop? How do you hack the program?
You need an external force. This could be a book, a revelation, or wisdom from figures like Jesus, Lao Tzu, or Buddha. That new information acts like a software update that rewrites your code.
But, and this is a big but, you can't just rewrite the code and expect the screen to change instantly.
Ah, yes. The wait time. This is a crucial practical tip. It quotes farming wisdom. Peach, 3 years. Apricot, 4 years. Walnut, 18 years.
18 years for a walnut.
Imagine waiting 18 years for your harvest.
Yeah.
We live in a world of get-rich-quick schemes and one-minute meditation apps.
We want the result now. We meditate once and wonder why we aren't enlightened.
Precisely. But the text says, you can plant the seed change, your code today. But the program runs automatically. There's a rendering time.
Don't doubt the code just because the result isn't instant.
Don't get mad in year 5 when your walnut tree doesn't have nuts yet. The program is running, you just have to trust the enduring reliability we talked about.
That is actually really helpful. It's like watching a download bar stuck at 99%.
Exactly, you don't cancel the download, you wait. The text distinguishes between total programs, which are hard to change, like death, and sub-programs, which are changeable, like mood or career.
But even those take time to compile.
They do.
So to summarize, we're living inside a massive interconnected system. It's chaotic yet reliable. It acts like a mirror that reacts to our thoughts.
It transcends time and space. Remember the Titanic.
It balances everything with ruthless fairness. And ultimately, it's a program that we're running, but one that we can, with patience and external wisdom, rewrite.
That is a solid synthesis. You are the programmer and the user simultaneously.
The source material puts it this way. Your consciousness is the keyboard. What you type in there determines the reality that shows up on the monitor of your life.
And if you don't like what is on the screen, don't yell at the monitor.
Check what you typed. I love that. Now, before we go, here is something to keep you up at night. The text mentions this system includes 20 parallel worlds and 36-dimensional spaces.
It does. It implies the game board is much, much bigger than just Earth.
So if your consciousness determines your reality, and there are that many options available, which program are you unknowingly running right now? And more importantly, what external force, what book, what conversation, what idea do you need to seek out today to break your loop and upgrade to a better operating system?
That is the question.
Thanks for diving deep with us. We'll see you in the next loop.